Reefer, man?
That's the Reefer, man.
Marijuana.
I believe he's losing his mind.
I think he's lost his mind.
Reefer Madness Radio.
Hey, yo, everybody. Welcome to Reefer Madness Radio. It's Citizen J coming at you from Denver, Colorado. Here we are, Friday evening, once again. I want to apologize for missing last week's show, but I'm so glad to be back.
Damn you.
And tonight we have a full house with us. We have two special guests tonight. We have Bruce Daily from the Daily Doobie, and we have my good friend Paul Tokin from Tokin Daily. So welcome, you guys.
Yeah. Hell yeah! Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I got the official invite, I think, yesterday, and I was like, you know what? I think I can make that.
That's awesome. Yeah, we were kind of a little impromptu in our getting around to asking people to be on the show. But you guys have both been to this studio before, probably maybe more than
us,
Jay and I have.
For sure.
I've never been. This is actually my second time in this studio, but
Nice.
I mean the owners of this studio had their previous location, and I'd been to that one quite a few times, way back in the day.
This is my second time. I've been here once. This is number 2.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. This is our 6th show, everybody. That's kind of amazing.
It is pretty awesome, actually.
And
Cue the canned applause. And yeah, right. Good job.
yeah, we're really proud of ourselves. What can I say?
No, I mean, it's a cool thing because like it's a live show, and it's one thing to go live because I mean, you've been live on Ustream. I mean, how often are you doing that? Like,
I don't do the live feed too often. I mean, I have to be in a certain mood to sit down and do a live feed because I really do try to push it out to be about an hour long, and I don't like dead space when I'm
Right.
doing a live feed.
So you
So
gotta keep
if I'm
talking,
doing
right?
something like that, I have to be in the mood to talk. Thus, the alcohol that certainly helps. So it usually is in a mood, or it's a situation where I'm at the bar for a little while. I have a couple drinks in me, and I'm in just that kind of a mood to sit down and smoke a whole bunch, turn the feed on, and just take some general chat questions from people.
yeah. So then to like, I don't know, have it scheduled where we're gonna go live at 6:30 every Friday. Like, you know, sometimes it's just like, wow, gosh, you know, tomorrow night would work out a lot better for my schedule.
Exactly. Yeah, doing any kind of a schedule thing is just not my style.
Yeah, and then there's all kinds of, you know, just interference with just technology. You know, we weren't able to go live on time. It just, I mean, all kinds of things kind of get in the way. Just life gets in the way, and it's just, you know, you hate to say we're going to be live at 6:30. Tune in, and then if you know something happens a little late, like it's just kind of weird to really kind of plan on something every week, and you know, it just doesn't always turn out. But I think so far it's been cool.
I think it's working out pretty well.
It's like a logistics thing.
I dig it.
Just
It's a
gotta-
Friday ritual for me now. You know.
Right on.
That's
I'm
awesome.
always in front of my computer in the chat room.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the show because you are like you're in the chat and you see it going every day. Because we're talking about like how active is the chat room in the show, and like you're on it.
It's
so-
pretty active. Yeah, I'm there every week, hopefully every week, and
Yeah.
it's busy. It's so busy that it's hard to keep up with sometimes. You know, the chat's going by so quick. So wherever the camera is, a big shout out to those people who are in the chat room right now.
Right on. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try and pay attention to that as we go. And
usually Citizen K is in the chat room, but I think she's at the movies tonight with Citizen H. So don't think you guys are going to see her there tonight. And
she was very active in the chat.
you know what? My
She is,
understanding
yeah.
is she has been. Yeah, she's watched every show so far, and she really likes it. So
That's the number one person to get on board.
yeah, it really. Yeah, without Citizen K, there's no Citizen J. Right? Just the way it is.
That's cute. That's adorable.
I have a life partner, you guys, and you know.
And his name starts with a K, is what.
Well,
Is
no.
that
What
what
I'm
you're saying?
what I'm saying is that when you have a life partner, you have to make decisions based on not just your own self-interests, right?
I don't understand.
Yeah, right.
I'm just joking. I don't get it. That's funny.
Anyway, so we do have the chat up, and we do try to pay attention to it. You guys say hi to Bruce Daily for me. This is Dan, his brother.
Oh, hey,
right.
Dan.
So we do try to pay attention.
Hey, Dan.
It's just sometimes difficult.
Thanks
you
for
know,
tuning in.
to
Yeah,
do
that's
it all at the same time.
Dude, let's talk about it. So, Bruce, you've got, like, when I first started seeing the newspaper, I was like, it's a daily doobie. Comes out once a month.
Once a month.
I just didn't. I was like,
the-
wait, what's going
the
on?
daily doobie and the monthly schedule that we carry.
But it's literally your name, correct?
Right. Yeah.
So
So
Bruce
it's really
Daily.
the daily doobie, not
daily-
the everyday doobie.
Exactly, that makes sense. So it's a monthly, you put it out once a month. It's in
Right.
dispensaries. It's free. It's like a newspaper. I mean,
It's-
put out-
it is
It
a
is a
newspaper.
newspaper, right?
Okay,
It's,
I didn't like a newspaper.
Yeah, it is,
Well, it doesn't have other, Yeah, no, it's a newspaper like any other
it
newspaper
is a
would
newspaper. Kind of. I mean, we're working on it. We'll be publishing a year in
be.
January.
When are you going to go out doing it every day? Is that going
Every
to be soon?
day.
Is that starting January?
Not anytime.
I'm just joking.
close,
No, it's a
brother.
lot of work. I'm just joking.
The amount of work it takes to put together a monthly publication is
Overwhelming?
Pretty. It's not overwhelming. It's
Obviously,
possible,
yeah.
but
You do it well.
We
How
have
did-
a small staff. Our staff is basically Bruce and me and a handful of people, the writers, the people that help us distribute it, and they're all coordinated through this man, right? So when he says it's a lot of work, I don't think people really understand the amount of work that goes into putting out a monthly publication of this kind of quality.
And the difference is it's a grassroots thing, right?
Right.
I mean, it was my idea. I funded it in the beginning.
Yeah, I was gonna
I'm
ask
not-
how it got started.
I don't have, fat stacks to fund it, and so
You didn't leave the oil and gas industry and
with a
decide
big
to-
check, right?
Yeah.
No, it started in my head and worked its way into the office at my house, and that's where it currently resides. And it has a handful of people now that are incredibly supportive, and we wouldn't be able to get it out without them, but it didn't have a big check to start off to get off the ground with. So that's why
The
we're
point I
slowly
was
but-
getting at is
yeah.
we don't have the staff to do it, right? We don't have the means to acquire the staff to do it at this point. With the people that we have, I think we're doing a fantastic job with the publication. If the years go by and we're able to grow in such a way that we can take on that kind of staff and get more, get an office and have the ability to do more of it ourselves, then that would be, different.
That's the plan. That's as revenue grows and the paper gets larger and our sales go up, we should be able to afford a staff of people that will get us to the next level and continue to grow.
Yeah, I assume
Right
just
on.
like anything else, it's a slow process.
It is, but it's been really satisfying. I've been with the Doobie almost since its very inception, and I have to tell you, I'm incredibly proud to just be associated with it, because I never expected to have a voice in print on a regular basis. I have friends back east. They went to school for journalism. They went to school to become creative writers. They live in big cities where there are tons of publications that won't pay their writers, right? Like the Village Voice is a great example. The Village Voice doesn't generally pay the people who submit stories to them, right? It's kind of an honor to get your story printed in that publication, right? So I have friends back east that when I tell them that I work for a local newspaper and I get paid for the writing I do, they're jealous. I'll put it that
Oh,
way.
yes. To be a writer and to get to the point where you're getting paid for work would be an amazing accomplishment. And then if it's something to do with something that you enjoy, cannabis, that I'm sure for some people that's just
Well, I can tell you
is
that
an honor.
we-
I'll pay
we-
you to write for you, Bruce. I would love to pay you so I can write. Yeah.
We don't pay too much, like I said, we're small, but we do.
Well, no, that's what I'm
pay
saying. I
what we
feel for
can,
some people, I feel like they would almost pay for the opportunity to have their work published.
Certain-
Almost,
Well, I don't know
like
if they'd pay for it, but I can tell you that the fact that they're published and
Yeah.
that their words
Yeah.
get out to 20,000 of our readers every month, that's a reward to a lot of them in itself to make up the difference between what we pay and what actual an actual newspaper that has a budget would.
Well, I assume it's like a writer right there. I don't think they're in it to have a mansion. I think they're
Yeah,
in it
right.
because
I
they-
tell them you're not going to pay the rent with what we pay you,
Yeah.
but you might get dinner.
Yeah.
You
Even
don't pay
Stephen
dinner.
King started somewhere,
Yeah, I actually read a Stephen King's book. It was called On Writing, and it was just about like if you want to be a writer, something. And it was just writing a lot, get published wherever you can,
Right.
read.
Right.
Like it was some very basic kind of things, but
To get
yeah.
published, to have it in your resume, I've been published in this and this and this, and to add the Daily Doobie to that is kind of a feather in the cap of a lot of people that will write for us.
Right, it's not generally the kind of publication that I look for as an archaeologist, right? But having the opportunity to publish is just really amazing. Frankly, I love it.
Well, just like so many other people in the industry in Colorado, I feel blessed that it's the right time, it's the right topic, it's the right niche, and so I'm very happy with it. I come from a printing background. My family's been printing in Colorado for 50 years, and or Dan's watching 30 years, and so
Family keeps you honest.
So I had that in my pocket,
I was gonna say,
and
there's a little bit of knowledge on how to.
as a kid,
Yeah, because I don't know what's step one. You want to start a newspaper? Like I wouldn't even.
well, you have to, there are several different aspects of it: writing, printing, distribution. If you have one of those in your pocket to begin with, you're probably, on the right track. Distribution was a difficult thing to learn, and I think we do it well now. We distribute to almost 400 locations in Colorado. We started with dispensaries, so you'll find them in the majority of the dispensaries from Rifle to Denver and Greeley to Canyon City or Pueblo West, and kind of expand from there. So now we're in restaurants and coffee shops and head shops and liquor stores and
That's great, right? In Colorado, there's no reason you couldn't go into a restaurant, and there's just some different things you'd read, and why
Certainly.
wouldn't
Right
one
on.
of them be a well published, well put together, well edited?
cannabis newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
Right on. It's becoming more accepted here in Colorado. We got a call coming in, huh?
Let's take it.
Let's
do
take it. Yeah, let's take it.
Yeah, I think I'm the newest one to Colorado. How
Oh,
long
they-
have you been in Colorado?
They hung up. Let's
You
let's
were
hold the
born
calls
and you
until the
left
second segment.
Yeah. I was born and raised here. My parents got divorced, so my mom moved away and took me with, and then from second grade on till 16 years old, I was here in the summers. And then after that, I basically I got a job in North Dakota for a while, saved up some money, moved around for a little bit, lived in Washington State for a while, and then I was like, no, I want to go back to Colorado.
Yeah.
So as an adult, I came to Colorado in 2005, and I've been living here ever since.
I think you said something about when was it? Because I came in 2010, and everything was like, when did the Daily be? When was its first?
January 2013, so we'll be 1 year old in a
That's
month.
awesome. Yeah, but I feel like a lot of this is kind of already, I came in May of 2010, and a lot of this was kind of already started, but to actually,
Oh,
I don't know,
geez.
I've been in
established, right.
Colorado since 1997, right? I know you've been here your whole
Since-
life, pretty much, but
Yeah.
wow, that just blows me away, you guys. I've been here since
77.
1997. I moved out here from the D.C. area, the metro area, and when I moved to Boulder, the weed scene just blew me away, right? It took me a little while to get into it. And I was lucky enough to meet some climbers, right? Now, Boulder is the climbing mecca, right? People from all over the world come to Boulder. And a lot of those guys really know how to hook it up. So I became friends with some of the local rock climbers, and they always had really nice buds. And they weren't expensive. I was paying less than I used to pay out east for swag.
Mm-hmm.
And I always called that the Colorado regs. You get these small little buds, and you never knew what it was, but it was always dank and crystally and locally grown, right? And all through grad school, I lived the high life, because I had that black market hookup. When medical marijuana came around in Colorado, I was just blown away. I'd been told my whole life that we would never see legalized cannabis in any form. And here I was, in Colorado when the whole thing started to come about. And I was on board from the very beginning. But I didn't get my red card for several years. I've actually only had my red card now for, I think, 4 years now, right? I was reluctant to get my red card because I was under the impression that if people were gaming the system, that
They'd know who you were.
Yeah, they'd take it away, is what I was worried about. But then I got told, no, we need as many people on the register as we can so they can't take it away. And
was
then I
really-
also found out that I do have a qualifying condition.
But it was legal in Denver. What year did it become legal in Denver just to not get busted for it?
That was
Six.
in 2005.
Five.
I was following that in Washington State as the election was going on. In November of 2005, I-100 passed. In December 1st of 2005, I moved here.
Right on, dude.
So yeah, no, I was following that very closely. That was a huge factor in me moving here versus a couple other major cities.
So yeah, I could see why you just wouldn't need your red card if it's legal in the city to have it. I mean, honestly, you could probably just go for a walk in the afternoon, and in 3 or 4 hours, you'd probably meet somebody that would be able to find something for you. Like
if you're friendly enough.
Yeah, sure.
I saw a guy today. I was walking down Broadway, and there was a guy sitting on the side of the sidewalk, leaning against the wall. And,
Side of the sidewalk.
The side.
Yeah,
the sidewalk.
He was.
Just trying to imagine that.
He was grinding weed, right? He had a tiny little grinder, and he was just sitting there with it on his lap, grinding it very nonchalantly, like no one would notice. But of course, I noticed because I always notice, and so I gave him a little, a wink and a nod. He was like, "Hey, man, come and sit down, brother.
Oh, really?
We'll have a smoke together." I was like, "Man, I'm in a rush. I can't stop."
Colorado's always been that way. I mean, I wasn't born here, but I moved here at 10. I grew up in Boulder, and I've had run-in with the cops that the noise would be too loud as a kid, and they'd knock on the door and they'd smell weed. They came in and ask, "Hey, where's the weed?" And once we were honest with them, yeah, right. They didn't take it. You know what I mean? They said, turn the music down, and move on. But I've heard stories from people that I've run into over the course of the last year that, you'd go to jail in that instance. Literally go to jail, maybe stay in jail for a while. I feel it's growing up in this environment. It's hard to. It's nice to. What the fuck am I trying to say, man?
It's nice to be. I feel like you go back 20 years sometimes, and I go back to Iowa or something. I'm just like, am I stepping back into time? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Why
That's
in
what I mean
1997 was like stuff happening in California that's not happening in other places now? It's just like some places.
If you step outside of Colorado, you're in for a culture shock if you live here.
Yes,
here.
or vice versa. If you've never been to Colorado and you come here and there's just dispensaries and people
crazy.
Are smoking, like if you spent your whole life like having to just everything you do is worried about cops, like you would come here and you can't just turn that off. Like you would still sit in my apartment and worry about the smell. What if your neighbors smell it?
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. Every time I have a visitor,
what if I walk
they're
out of
always
here,
paranoid about it.
I'm like, dude, you got nothing.
People that I know who've lived here for just a few months still, and they're like, they're just afraid. I'm like, don't be afraid. You're legal, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing to be afraid of. I wanted to interrupt you guys for a second because I noticed in the chat that people are asking us a lot about the new tax, and since the election was last Tuesday.
Yes. Tuesday.
Right? So the tax passed, and I have to say that I'm not surprised that the tax passed.
No,
I think we all knew that the tax was going to pass. And, most of the people that I talked to that I haven't spoken to yet, they seem to think that they're happy to pay whatever it's going to cost to have free weed. Like I was...
Who's they? Your
I was
friends?
working with... I was... I don't want to say that. I was hanging out with a friend the other day.
No, I'm good. I'm good, thanks.
And he basically said that. He's like, I don't want to have a red card, but I'll pay basically whatever it costs to get weed.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, $70 eighths,
Yowzers.
right?
Yeah, I was thinking a 60 sack, the comeback of the 60 sack.
Right? And the 60 sack, I like that. So, yeah, I think we're going to see that. No one's really sure what the tax is going to mean when it comes to the retail market until the retail market opens up.
But again, to come into a store and have options and it's $60.
Yep.
And to know what strain it is and to know where it was grown.
Right.
And
Let me
to
tell
know
you,
that
when
it's
I
safe,
first
consistent,
got
legal,
my
that's
red card,
great.
that's
fine.
exactly what it was like. When I first got my red card, I got it at a dispensary. And when they let me through that door, it was magical. I mean, the first time I walked into a dispensary that I actually got to see how it was.
Yeah, suddenly you have an amazing array of choices.
Right,
that
choices.
You can
With
look
an
at, you can
intelligent person
smell at.
behind the counter to explain to you if you're a novice what
Hopefully.
theoretically
An
right
intelligent person behind the counter. Yeah, most of the time. The bud tenders, that's another great thing. If you don't know exactly what you want, they can kind of talk you through it. So that's an amazing option that you
Most
have.
bud tenders have a good
Basic
base
knowledge.
of
Yes,
knowledge.
yes. I mean, back when everything started, it was a little different then.
Sure.
But it's been a progression, an evolution ever since then. And nowadays, people don't get hired just for whatever.
Right,
reason.
just because they can work,
Yeah.
they get hired.
Yeah. Nowadays, it does come down to what you actually know about
It's very competitive.
everything. Yes, it is.
It is.
It's
I thought that the best thing of walking into a dispensary was that there was somebody behind the counter to explain to a non-connoisseur what I might be looking for. This is why you should spend this to get this. And I
And
like.
I'm glad that model is going to stay. Because dispensaries you have, and I worry about this because bud tender, I come in and everybody's a patient and talking about ailments, and
Right.
people are going to come in and.
They're just gonna talk about
I'm
the high.
actually going to call somebody a patient, and they don't actually have a red card. But
Exactly,
hopefully,
right.
it's still that sort of vibe where like, what do you need? What are you looking
What are
to
you
get out of
looking for?
cannabis?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's here's some options or whatever. Like, so I hopefully it's still that sort of same thing. Not like a liquor store where it's like, pick whatever you want over there and come over here,
Bring it
and
to
then
the
you
counter.
pay for it.
That's
Like,
No,
the thing
that's
about,
all behind the counter.
Yeah, that's the thing about cannabis is that it's not just about flavors; it's about different effects as well.
Yep.
So that's where there's still going to be a lot of people coming in almost for the first time, basically knowing just that they get high off of it.
Right.
But now you're going to expose them to the different. The different
Effects that,
facets of
what's
there are
sativa
so
and
many
indica,
yeah,
facets,
simple things.
right?
Where if somebody says, "Yeah, I have it for anxiety," and you give them Durban poison, well, that's like that's kind of a problem.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
like,
I got a story for you because it's so apropos. I went to Amsterdam once for 36 hours. Right, it was a tail end of a trip, and my wife and I walked into the dispensary, and we didn't go to the red light district. We were in a nice hotel off of the beaten path, and there was a dispensary in the church circle down the street. And I walk into the dispensary with my wife. We go up to the bar, and the guy opens up a book of strains.
Yeah, right.
And he says to me, "Have you ever smoked in Amsterdam before?" And of course, I said no, but I've been a toker my whole life. I should be able to handle it. He pointed to the bottom of the list on the menu, and he said, "You start here." And I was like, really, really? And my wife tugged me on the sleeve and said, "Honey, listen to the giant Rastafarian behind the counter," right? And so I did. I started at the bottom, right? It is really strong stuff. And when you come to Colorado, right, you're going to be that kid in the candy store. But I just want to caution you because I have inadvertently dabbed people out.
oh, I bong ripped people out off of herb.
Right?
You know,
Like I went to Telluride and was staying with a guy who grew herb.
proud of
He grew herb for some of the dispensaries down there.
Dabbed out.
And not him, but one of his partners came over and
Partner?
had 3 dabs. 3 dabs, right?
Yeah.
And then 10 minutes later, he looks at me and he's like, "Passing out." And he hit the floor, and that was that. So, like, yeah, I learned my
was
lesson. You got to be
irresponsible of you.
really careful when you smoke out your friends when they come to Colorado.
especially your friends of friends,
Right.
Indeed.
because you don't know.
You really don't.
You just don't know. But I mean, it's just like I feel like I don't know. In Amsterdam, you probably went into a good, coffee shop your first time. I've heard of some not so good weed there. There's some not good weed in Colorado. Like,
Really?
You have to
Where-
look
you have
hard to
where are you
find
finding
it.
that?
yeah.
Right? The only place I've ever seen bad weed is on the street corner. Like as Citizen J,
You've
I
never-
go
you've
into
never
a
bought
lot of dispensaries.
Never bought an ounce that had some seeds in it. You never bought one that was
know what?
advertised for $85. Like,
Actually, no, I have never bought an $85 ounce. And now every dispensary that works with clones, eventually you're going to find a seed if you're lucky, because that seed, my friend, is guaranteed to be a female. Yes. So I'm lucky enough to have a couple seeds from some of the dispensaries that I've
never actually grown. I
was told that. I actually was told that. I don't know the veracity of that statement, but I was told that. It's not true,
true.
Chris says.
All
He's
right.
shaking his head at me. Well, in any event, I still think if you find a seed in your bud, it's okay. If you find a bunch of seeds in your
Not
bud,
okay.
that's different. And I haven't encountered that.
But it's been so long since I haven't seen swag or what I used to call swag, in years.
Years.
All I
Yeah.
smoke. That's all I do. Weed was for the longest time. Like,
Yeah, right.
Oh, 'cause
I've
you
smoked
lived in
pounds of
Iowa.
swag.
Iowa.
You know, in DC, you could get really dank buds, but you had to know someone with a connection, right? Like, I have another story. My wife and I went to a dealer's house in DC in DuPont Circle. That it was a friend of a friend, and the guy who answered the door was like, he was so sharp looking, right? He was tall and he was dressed to the nines. He had some kind of really slick foreign accent and was just like so polite. And he was also, he told us he was an artist and he graduated from the art school here there in DC. And his place was just off the hook beautiful. But we didn't know this guy. And we were kind of timid. And we go in and he lays out 3 different strains in front of us, right? And he says, you know, this one's 100, this one's 100,
It's like a Pulp
150, and
Fiction
this
moment.
one's $200, right? And he pulls out this really nice glass piece. It was thin glass, you guys. This was many years ago, and I'm sure it was Chinese glass. And it was tall.
intricate, but not necessarily quality.
It was just a plain bong, right? It was tall and thin, and he brought it out, and we were toking on it. And my wife said, "Don't put that down next to me because I guarantee it'll break." And not 5 minutes later, right? We were so terrified. He like
Giant man.
He picked it up and like stormed into the other room, and we heard him rustling around. We're like, "Oh my God, he's getting a gun! What's going on? Oh my God!"
Run.
He comes back with another one, right? A brand new bong, right? And he's holding up another broken one, and he says, "Do you think you're the first customers of mine that have broken my bong?" You know, and he laughs and he comes back in, and we did have to pay another $100 for that
For the glass.
cheap ass bong.
That'll be $100.
Yep, pretty much. And but you know what? It was good weed because he drove it down himself from New York, and he got it directly off the boat from Jamaica. So it was some dank weed. And my wife and I, we drove up to Acadia in Maine with that weed. And it was a really awesome trip. Like, I get chills just remembering the stars on the beach in Acadia. If you've never been to Acadia National Park in Maine, put it on your list, man. You'll thank me. Yeah, it's
you.
awesome.
But yeah, like giant Rastafarian man was charging a tax essentially,
Yeah,
right? Like, I mean, just
His
you know,
cut.
the bud is $60, like, and he's doing with that what he wants. Like, so if someone comes in and the eighth is $60, and they know that 15% of you know, it's $40, you know, plus 15% plus 10. If they know a bunch of that is going to build schools, and another portion of that is going to fund the
MED.
you know, the enforcement, the enforcement of the
section.
people that, you know, self-regulating industry. But that's fine. I feel like people are like, well, that's okay. I mean, we're not giving it to other countries. We're not giving it to organized crime
war
or illegal
machine,
activities.
yeah.
So
You know what? I agree,
What's
Mark.
the problem? Like, what are we in Colorado complaining about?
It's just
I
prices.
agree.
You know what I mean? It's and everybody's
no one
struggling
likes
for
to
a
pay
dollar.
higher prices.
Yeah, nobody likes to
basically
pay
what it
higher
boils
prices.
down to. But I agree. It's just like when I go downtown and put a quarter in the parking meter, I'm like, yeah, that quarter is going to go to help fund my city, right?
Sure. Yeah, I enjoy walking on sidewalks, and I enjoy having parks and all the things that, you know, municipalities provide and that sort of thing. I have no problem paying a.
And I'm waiting for that, you know, Cannabis J Weed High School to open up.
Dude, it's gonna something, right? Like something like tangible. Like I want a building or a park or even a
You know,
program.
that reminds me of what Big D did a few months ago, right? With the Dabs of Denver, right? That's a perfect example of this because he raised money for the disabled veterans of America who not only accepted the money, but were proud to say that it came from the cannabis community,
Publicly,
right?
right.
Publicly, right? So
Because I know
can you
he approached other organizations,
right, and they were the
before
only one,
that wouldn't publicly say yes, we'll take this money from the cannabis industry.
right?
Did they have like a 8-foot check that they like give to?
No,
I
it
don't
was a
think so.
regular sized check, but it did get photographed, and I do remember seeing something on Facebook about that. And you know what? I remember feeling really proud that I was able to pitch in for that and participate in that
paid for your
because
ticket.
I
Yeah.
did. I always pay for my ticket at most of these things that I go to, especially the meet and greets. I always pay, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
But I
local
mean, you
events.
paid for it,
If the
and it gave you the pride.
Yes,
Because you paid for it,
absolutely.
just
Because
buying the
I
ticket is what I mean.
participated
Yeah.
in that donation. Absolutely.
So, like, I mean, we all have our red card. It may not necessarily be funding the adult use side of it, but like, let's say it takes 2 years and they get $40 million and they literally build this one school and it cost $40 million and
Right.
it was entirely funded by cannabis.
By
Like,
cannabis.
are we going to go to the ribbon cutting? The
Yeah.
groundbreaking ceremony?
Hell yeah.
It's going to be on YouTube. Are you kidding me?
would
Cannabis
think-
Radio is going to be there with a booth.
You'd think we'd be there. I would assume. Wouldn't you?
It would
Would
just
you
be
want to
something
there?
interesting, like just to.
You know what? I
I'd
would
be-
really like to see that happen. I mean, to
it
actually
would be like a photo op, like the governor's going to
exactly.
be there, like like Mason is going to be, like people that help get this tax through, or just even Amendment 64, like people that help get this through, like there's going to be some results, and I want to see some photo ops and some press releases about that. Like I want to see that.
I'm sure there will be a plethora of reporting on that.
Because I mean, even
No
with the high
question.
tax, it might take a couple years to get to $40 million, or
Might not.
we
Why
we
not?
shall see very
don't
quickly.
think?
No.
I
You know what? They
can't wait.
underreported.
2 months.
They underreported
Yeah, right.
the revenue, right? The Department of Revenue held back the actual revenue before the committees on Amendment 64 made their rulemaking, right? When the actual numbers were released, everyone was like, what? Are you kidding me? And we made these rules so tight, but we're going to get so much money.
Right. So let's put a lot of tax on it. People are going to pay it anyway. To be honest with you, the people who are going to buy weed now with this tax, and I believe it's excessive. No question.
No question.
Like we've said here, they're going to be happy to pay this.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not going to be happy, and they will pay it.
They will.
They would
And
rather
you know
it be
what?
$5
No
cheaper.
They
but
question.
would rather
You know,
it be a little cheaper, but they'll
tourist-
be happy to come.
But you know what?
and-
They'd be happy if their meal was $5 cheaper, or if their hotel was $5 cheaper,
Or
that
their
night, too.
prescription.
anything.
Yep.
So it's
Right.
it's not something that's going to stop people from coming here. Oh my God, there's a 30% tax on it.
No way.
Versus what?
Absolutely
no,
not.
It's not going to deter
visitors
them
to Colorado.
one single bit.
Visitors to Colorado
Dude, they're
and
buffed.
first-time users who have never purchased in a dispensary or never come out of the closet or whatever have you, they'll pay it. If you have an issue with it, you more than likely can get a red card and not pay it.
Right.
Or
Is
you
that
can
right?
do
You
what
can
you've
also-
been doing for the past 100
Umpteen
years,
years,
however long.
Right, the black market will thrive, and also
It
in
won't
Colorado,
thrive, but it will be
there.
it will
You
be
won't
there.
you won't squash it out.
There's always going to be
but
high school
also
kids
in
selling weed.
Colorado,
Yeah.
your friends can friend you out.
Yeah, right.
Like I mean, I have lots of friends. We pass weed around. Like I was always taught to be as generous as you can. And let me tell you, man, every time I open up
that's a
my
great thing
bag
about
to
weed.
give to somebody else, man, I always get that tinge of selfishness. But then I remember my big brother's voice in my head saying, always be generous with your weed because it comes back in kind, right? And so, like, I try to remember that. I try to pass it along to my friends as
And everybody
best
does.
as I can. Yep.
Most people that
So
I
there'll
encountered.
Yeah.
always
Yep.
be a way to get weed here in Colorado. And yes, the prices may be exorbitant right now, but remember two things. One, this is not the end of the story. This is just the beginning of the story, right? And two, we will see the price fluctuate up and down, right?
Oh my gosh, it's going up now. It will continue.
It's a cash crop, right? It fluctuates based on things, a number of things, including like right now, business
Supply.
owners are paying license fees, like over $10,000.
Tens of thousands of
They're having
dollars,
to
yeah.
buy up facilities and start grows and hire
Sure.
architects and like that
Absolutely.
sort of thing. And they're probably going to start out with $40 eighths plus tax, 45, and then once there's a competition, you see there's some sort of like almost like a war in the westward of what is this? What's
Pass that to Paul.
the price will go down. You know what I mean?
Eventually,
like, I feel
you probably
like
see the price go down by late spring or summer of next year, but it's already started. It's ascent now,
Yes,
and
it's-
it will
it
probably
is
crescendo.
climbing.
Let's say in February,
March,
Marchish, somewhere around there, because the supply
It's
is
gonna
going to
dwindle.
deplete, right? So
Yeah.
all of everyone, not only the people who purchase cannabis, but the people in the industry who use cannabis to create concentrates, to create edibles and such. It's going to be tough. For
I heard a
them.
guy
trim is
tell
a
me today he
commodity.
was starting to
Trim,
bury
yeah.
it in his
if
backyard.
you have trim, you're in good shape.
Yep,
You know?
exactly. Yeah, like I don't know.
Okay, I'll hit it. Here.
Do it. You must.
That's some
Okay.
scissor hash, right? Let me just
This
let me
is
just
hash?
put this in there right
Alright.
there. Yeah.
Oh, scissor
I got
hash
to
you were
work
telling
up
me
in
about
Central City the other day doing my archaeology thing. It was was a really beautiful day up there. And I didn't know if there was a dispensary in Central City, but of course I went to look, and there is. There's a strain-wise dispensary.
Annie Oakley's.
Yes,
is the name.
Annie's Dispensary, right? So I picked up I picked up a few things. I picked up some wax, and I picked up some nice scissor hash, right? And the thing is, scissor hash is something you don't usually find on the shelf, right? Scissor hash, as I understand it, is usually given to the trimmers as a bonus for their work. They kind of collect it at the end of the day off their scissors, and it doesn't usually show up. And I've only had scissor hash a few times because I have friends that are trimmers, and sometimes they bring it by, and I love it because it's got a great flavor. It's got that bud flavor and that hash flavor kind of mixed together. So I always love it, and it was only $5 a gram.
So that's a good deal. I mean, myself, I've had a lot of experience being a trimmer. I was the trim manager for a couple places now. So with the term scissor hash, even that's a little.
710.
So even with the term scissor hash, it's a little deceptive because it can mean just the hash collected off of the scissors themselves, or it can mean the scissors and the gloves, or if people aren't wearing the gloves, it's just finger hash.
Finger hash, yeah.
Oh, how about that?
Which isn't necessarily bad, but coming from other people, from other trimmers, that's where I get hesitant. If it's coming from my own gloves, my own fingers, or my own scissors, I will be happy to smoke it. I'll be happy to share it. But if I don't know the origins of that quote unquote scissor hash.
Did you pick your nose somewhere in the middle of that trim?
With some people, that's a question you kind of have to ask, not trying to be rude. Because in all honesty, a lot of dispensaries have very strict regulations, but
They really do.
when they're selling, again, quote unquote scissor hash, that will just make me question the exact origins of it. If
Was
it
a
is,
dispensary selling it?
Yeah.
yeah, and that just it's cool. I mean, $5 a gram.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a
not
good
going to
price.
argue that.
Yeah,
That's
It's just
trim
that-
price, so to get...
Yeah,
Right on.
Yeah.
It's certainly a good deal. However, I will still again I wouldn't necessarily buy it myself just because
It's like a cleanliness thing, right? It's like why you wash your hands. You don't know if
Kinda.
they wash their hands.
You know what? I'm not going to worry about those things. I'm going to enjoy my little half gram here of scissor hash. Yeah, please answer if someone's calling. We'll give it a shot. We didn't take a break, so let's do it.
Let's see who's calling.
Hello, who's on?
Hello, my name is Joe. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
Right on, all the way across the country, Jacksonville, Florida. What can we do for you,
How's
Joe?
it going, Jay? How's it going, Mark? Paul?
Right
Hey,
on.
man, it's going great.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. So, my question was, coming from, Mark, with your experience coming from a non-medical state to a state like Colorado, and obviously everybody else's experience in a medical state, what do you guys think a medical program in a more conservative state like Florida would be like? It is on the ballot for 2014, and I just wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on that, I guess.
Right
Cool.
on. Thanks for calling, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, man. I think that's a good
Yeah,
question.
yeah, no problem. Big fans of everybody on YouTube, so, yep.
Right
Oh,
on,
yeah.
man.
Thanks, man. So, Paul, I don't know if you had the headphones on. He was asking just about, like, in a conservative state, what would you see? And he asked all of us this, like, the medical marijuana, a model, like, what would it look like?
Right. No, I did sort of hear him with over the speakers, but it was kind of quiet, so you heard it a lot better than I did.
Yeah.
But I did hear he was from Florida, or he mentioned Florida. And first off, I have to say that I've been watching my my YouTube analytics, the metrics, for a long time, and Florida has always been a huge state
Are you
for
kidding me? It's a
viewership.
huge party state.
I mean,
They've got
well,
several universities
saying-
there. The beach is there.
I'm saying that my viewership, if I were to look at it right now, I'm almost certain it would go California would be the number one state just because there's so many people in California. I'm almost certain that Florida would be my number 2 state for my total viewership just because there's a huge toker community out there. So I think right now they got things in the works. I'm not sure of the outcome, but I know Steve Burke in the city that he's from. I don't remember
From
the exact
Miami,
city.
I think.
which I don't want to say the exact one because I'll get it wrong, but he's from a big city there, and he actually engaged in a recall election or a recall count.
A recall of the election. I mean,
recount.
A recount.
Yes, that's the word I was trying to say. So I didn't hear the result of that, but I mean, he's a huge pot advocate. He's just a great guy that's trying to advance the community down there. So I think Florida has the potential to be a big game changer in the area.
They're definitely going through growing pains right now. Right, the last year they've gone back and forth in their legislature and in their population. Thing is, Florida is filled with a lot of conservative communities. The Cuban community is very conservative. The older Jewish community is very conservative, right? And just in general, people go to Florida to retire, and older people in general tend to be more conservative.
Yep.
There's so many universities there that they can get out to vote. Like when voting in November, college is in session.
Right.
So
and it's more than just there are still a ton of young people there too. Right.
So to his question, what does a regulatory system look like in a more conservative
I would see
state?
like less symptoms that would qualify for getting cannabis. Like for right now, like Colorado, the majority of people are under this sort of like physical pain. Or like it's a debilitating. Mona, what's up? Like a debilitating physical pain, and that can come from a number of things. But if it's and if you're 40 and you go in there and say you have migraines, there are it's just you can get your red card fairly easily. But some of these other states, or in California, it's even more liberal, where things like insomnia, depression, anxiety are recognized in California, not recognized in Colorado.
So that might be one part of a regulatory system where
it's going to be you better be dying, which is unfortunate. That people are going to say, well, like for people that are in moderate to severe pain, you don't deserve cannabis.
That might change.
You actually have to be in a lot of pain.
Once I think they get a foothold, and once the people understand what's really going on, I think as far as models go, there are a couple different models around the country right now. The Colorado model is somewhat unique because it's a for-profit model, right? It's let capitalism reign, and the dispensaries are allowed to make profit, where in a lot of the other places,
California actually, which you think would be more liberal, it's all like...
That's right, it's non-profit, and people go to jail for making too much money, right? Which I think is just ridiculous because, frankly, you can't help but make so much money with a crop like that. So,
well, I mean, I think there's something to be said for like, it's like something like some of the smartest people in the country, they don't go work for the government because you're just not making that much money. Or like, you want an industry kind of run by people that are, I don't want to say have motivation for money, but like where they're able to turn a profit and are interested in doing so and can run a business as such. Like I feel like I don't mind a little bit of capitalism. On the other hand, I'd like to see some of these businesses that are going rec and medical to like, as a medical patient, like what are going to be I feel like I'm kind of losing out a little bit. Like there's going to be less inventory. Like there's going to be longer lines. Like, am I going to get something? And my price is going to be cheaper because as a business owner, you're making more money now. Your profits, or you're making more profits there. Maybe you're going to pass it on to the patients.
There's still a lot of dispensaries that aren't going rec. Just plain as simple as that. I don't know if that's going to happen, Mark, but
I guess back to the original question about like a more conservative model for.
Well, I think that's a big part of it. Are they going to allow profit or not? And believe it or not,
I think the government-run program or something.
Our program here is a lot tighter.
Thing?
Well, they might just do it as a government program. That would be the most conservative thing,
right? If the government regulated.
But conservatives really, I don't know about a government-run program, but maybe a heavily mandated thing.
They do it in some states with alcohol.
They'll let
Utah does that.
I think something I heard
Washington State is
Washington.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Montana might be that way too. But
Illinois was going to allow one grow per police precinct. So for every time there's a police whatever, there'd be one commercial grow allowed, which doesn't make sense to me because there's in Denver is that one police precinct? In Chicago, is that one, or is that are there multiple?
I don't know.
So is there one grow
Maybe
allowed
in
for
a more rural state it would apply?
So I feel like if people are looking at Colorado's model of how we've done it, that sort of copying it seems like the best way to go.
I agree. Obviously,
I mean,
I'm from here, so
Other than being more liberal, allowing more people to have safe access to it. But I don't see. Do you see Florida just going straight adult use and skipping the medical?
I think that might happen
Eventually,
shortly with states.
there'll be a crest and the wave will flop over and then we'll see the rest of the states go. It's going to, there are 50 states, right? So we have to see, I think, the majority of them go that way before that happens. But it is a fear. Like, look what's happening in Seattle right now. There's a big debate going on because the city council pretty much just wants to do away with medical marijuana. They've passed a regulation that requires a license that doesn't exist from the state in Seattle for medical marijuana dispensaries, right? Which effectively puts them out of business. And the argument I understand there is, well, we don't need medical marijuana because you can just buy it on the recreational market. But there's a big difference between the people who need it for medical reasons and the people who just want it. And I think everyone should be able to have it for whatever reason they want. But there are real sick people that are benefiting from medical cannabis, and they're benefiting from the research and the new products that are being developed.
Doesn't that trickle down to the retail outlet? For
Sure, it
recreation?
does. Sure, all of that
I mean,
technology
in a
trickles
long-term
down.
sense.
Yeah.
That.
But what I'm saying
why
is
can't
that
a
the
recreational facility fulfill that?
Well, because they're not going to
requirement?
have the same incentive. They're just not. The companies that are not going recreational, their incentive is they want to heal people and help patients.
Understood.
Right? And there are companies that they produce strains that are like a high CBD
content.
and they make, medicine for people, and they want to keep doing that. And that is something that is legitimate and real and shouldn't just be swept under the rug, right?
Wouldn't that be a store that specializes in that and wouldn't necessarily market themselves towards a
there's a lot
recreational
more
crowd?
that comes with medical than just access. There's HIPAA, right? When you have a medical card, you are granted privacy legally by the HIPAA Act. Okay, so that information just isn't out there. If you go into a recreational store and you pay cash and carry, you're fine, right? But a lot of people use credit cards. I mean, there's a record. I have a red card. I trust that HIPAA is going to keep me
Private?
Private.
Yeah.
To some extent, anyway, right?
Or like I sometimes feel like, not necessarily even though it's a law, but like if I see someone in the dispensary and they're a medical marijuana patient, I may not come on this radio show and mention that I saw them in there, it's sort of just privacy or whatever. But
Right.
if someone comes into a liquor store and I saw them there, or come into a dispensary, like I feel like, there is a little bit of a difference as far as just, the day-to-day, how people treat it or just how it goes. But yeah, HIPAA laws, I mean, there is a certain amount of things. But I mean, like, as a medical patient, they have a record of you and they can track your sales more or less.
Yeah, but
they can't
there are
sell
a lot
that
of
info.
people
The
that
government
don't
would.
want to
HIPAA
go
protects
just
the
up to a
patient.
recreational store. There are a lot of people that want to go into a medical clinical environment. It is more private. It's more, frankly, it might be a little bit more uptight. And if you're someone who's a little older and professional and you have a medical reason and you don't necessarily want to, go into the hippie shop down the street.
But and again, like using it, like if you're a person that has a legitimate, whatever I want to say, if you use it for a purpose that you feel is medical marijuana, like there's some HIPAA laws that apply that would allow you to use it and not be discriminated for using it.
That's the point I'm making.
Whereas, like if it's just adult use, then, well, even in Colorado though, an employer can still drug test you and say, well, you
We're
tested
not
for
going to
cannabis,
hire
we're
you.
not going to
You know
hire
what?
you.
If
because-
my employer decided to drug test me, I would have to question his integrity because he owns the Daily Doobie, for goodness sakes. Right? Or
I don't see a
or he's
drug
me.
testing policy.
That would be
in our near
hilarious.
future.
You know what? I
that would
won't
be funny.
ever drug test any of my employees. I just won't. I have my own company.
Maybe
If
a
I
field
won't work
sobriety
for
test.
someone who requires that, and it's as simple as that. I'm like, sorry, there's plenty of.
It's certainly a
efficiency.
choice of the business owner, and there are both extremes, me being on one side and someone who wouldn't hire you because you smoke weed on the other.
Yeah. One day, weed will be just as innocuous as beer.
less so.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
Can we take a little bit of break? Can we take two? Let's take a little bit of break.
I think it's a good idea. We've been on the air for like almost an hour.
Cool. Let's take a little bit of break, and then we'll come back and finish strong and call it a good Friday night. So be right back.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On Grass. Runongrass.com. Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
This segment was brought to you by The Farm, a medical marijuana care center located at 2801 Iris Street in Boulder. The Farm carries premium, cannabis, edibles, and Hummingbird brand products. Visit our new cannabis lifestyle store for your local artesian glass, vaporizers, and hemp clothing. The Farm has been serving Boulder since 2009. Isn't it time you come and see what we have to offer?
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Reefer Madness Radio.
It's so mad. You know what? I decided to take the headphones off and see if that was a little bit more comfortable.
You can't hear your own voice, though.
No, I can't. I can't hear my own voice. That's actually kind of a comfort to me.
Oh.
So, since we're back, I wanted to give a special shout out to my friends at Medically Correct, the makers of the Incredibles bars. You know, I've been driving around Denver and the metro area the last few days delivering the Daily Doobie. And I'm proud to say that Medically Correct is represented in every one of the dispensaries that I've gone into, right? They're in every one. I have not been into a dispensary where I haven't seen at least a few Incredibles. And I just think that's awesome. They're everywhere. They're organic. They're made by real chefs who know what they're doing. It's real chocolate. It's a mixture of sativa and indica, so everyone can get their own unique experience. And of course, they come in a variety of delicious flavors. What's your flavor, Paul?
I don't know. I actually remember when they were developing the Fireberry one.
Oh, I love that.
Like I had almost one of the very first batches of the test batch of it, and that just tasted so amazing. It was a little different than it is right now.
You liked it?
I loved it.
Yeah. It's like that one is the one where it's like it starts out okay, and then it goes on down this place that I don't want to go to.
Really? I love that place. I love that habanero. That because for me, it's just a little bit. And oh, go ahead and take it, man. There's another call. I think we have to put on the headphones for that. But I love that fire that comes after that nice raspberry and chocolate.
Cool. Hey, what's up, man? Who's on the line?
Hey, my name's Noah.
What's up, Noah?
Hey, I'm a big fan of Tokin Daily and The Guy That Could Fly. I love you guys' shows.
Nice. Where are you calling from, man? Where are you calling from?
Where are you calling from?
Where are you from?
To your discussion. What?
Where are you from? Where are you calling from?
I am here in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Another Floridian.
All right.
Yep.
How's it going, man?
Pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah. I was calling not particularly about the Florida issue, but
that's fine.
About the what is it? The medical versus recreational marijuana. I definitely agree with the separation. I feel that my worry is that when it's recreational, that it's just not going to be up to par with medical in terms of quality check and whatnot. I don't know what you guys think about that.
You know what? I
don't know.
think
That's a good
that
question.
first of all, everyone I know that grows weed loves weed, right? The quality is gonna be there. Now there are certain places I've been into where I've smelled problems. Pardon me, like mold or mildew, but most of the quality is gonna be there. Right? Oh, Chris is just like cracking up. He's like, "What? You've actually smelled that? No way." So,
No, I appreciate you calling. I think that's a good question. I mean, as far as like right now, all the people that have, as far as the retail stores, they're all going to be dispensary owners and dispensaries that have like made a switch to being able to sell. And like initially, it's literally going to be the same stuff. Like when they applied for their retail license, they were able to basically split their plants. And you're going to see literally the inventory that you would have put on the shelf for medical is going to go out on the shelf for recreational. Then they've bought additional spaces, so you'll start to see new grows, again, grown by the same people. So it should be the same product. It just might end up being more expensive. Like same quality, you might actually pay more money for the retail side.
Hella expensive.
we're not sure yet.
25% sales tax.
It's going to be more like
you might pay a $40 eighth plus 32% tax.
it's going to be like 33%.
42%?
I mean, it basically
No,
comes
it'll be
down
the 30
to the company
30%.
itself.
15
There's
and
really
10.
there's zero standardization in the industry. So if one business wants to sell an eighth at $15, they will.
Yeah.
If another business wants to sell a $40 eighth, they will.
Yep.
It's completely
And the
up to
tax
them.
will depend on what they want to charge for it. And that's why we've been saying we don't know what it's going to cost, and there'll be fluctuation when it finally comes out.
But there will be about a 33% tax.
That's
on
what the
whatever,
law
yeah.
was written as. 33% is what the law says.
Yeah. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, right on. No, like I said, thanks for
I
calling.
think the quality is definitely going to stay up. That the point I was trying to make is that, people love their plants and the quality is going to be there. Plus, the state is coming out with all kinds of new regulations. I heard something today about new regulations for concentrate makers, for hash makers, oil makers, that they're going to have, showers for, burns and eye washes and
Like
all the
OSHA.
things that are standard OSHA equipment, right? It shouldn't come as a shock, right? What we're doing is we are professionalizing the cannabis industry. And every industry that starts up, whether it's an archaeology industry or a cannabis industry, has to go through these growing pains where we professionalize. And it's good because the more we do these things,
The more we set a standard or a model for people to in other states, like the gentleman before was.
right? And the more regular it
absolutely.
becomes. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's where you were going, but
on.
I was just guessing.
It works.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the biggest worry about that tax is I think it's really going to end up turning it into more of a tourist attraction rather than being utilized more by the recreational cannabis community in Colorado. I feel like it's gonna make everybody go and run back to their dealers.
Nah, I don't think
That's
that.
probably not.
I think people will give it a
that
shot.
It's mostly going to be tourists going there just out of curiosity of the freedom to go to a store and buy cannabis legally.
You know what? I think
for
the
living there,
people in
that
Colorado
is-
are just as excited to go to a store and buy cannabis legally as everybody else.
Some
right?
of the benefits that you said before, like being able to see your strain and being able to choose from a variety, that you just don't get.
It's
on
going
a
to be
black
worth
market.
it. You don't get that from a dealer, right?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything's going
Yeah.
to be tested. Everything's going to be pesticide free, and you're not going to have any mold in it. Right. There's a reason why people want to go to a shop that they'll go there regardless. So I think the people of Colorado are just as excited as everybody else for
We
the
definitely
crazy
see, like, I definitely get people that are like, they live in Colorado now, and they're like, I want to, can I come in and buy? Like, I saw your ad in the Westward. It didn't mention anything about a patient. Do I have to can I come in? I'm like, no, you got to wait till January 1st. Or we see a lot of people calling from other states too. So there'll be a lot of tourists, but I expect there'll be a lot of people from Colorado that just didn't want to get their red card for whatever reason, couldn't get it, just whatever.
The anonymity
How many
that
people
were
have you
talking
met
about.
in the last 3 months that have moved here? Right? People, I'm meeting people day and night. I'm meeting people that are moving to Colorado right now. They're moving here right now, right, to take advantage of that going down, right? So,
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. Florida. Right on, man. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it. That was cool.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, I guess there's not really so right now we pay, as far as right now, top shelf, $35, $40, $45 still. But the medical marijuana tax is a 7.62% tax, which is the same it is for any sort of other, you buy clothes, any sort of other products.
Toys.
And that will stay the same, for the foreseeable future. So, as a medical patient, that's kind of our benefit. I'm not sure if there's really much benefit as a red card holder to go into a store that would.
Recreational store.
But I mean, for now, it's just going to be like going into another. It's like going into another dispensary. Like it would just. They're all. I mean,
I'm wondering if they're going to look any different. If they're going to have a different style. I'm curious. But I've been into a few places.
There's different styles of dispensaries.
There are, but they all serve a medical purpose. So I'm interested.
Right, but
to
they're
see,
also different.
You know what I mean?
Okay,
Every
so right now
place
the
serves
medical
a patient's needs right now. So they're branded with the
particular
cross.
way.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The green cross
Exactly what I was talking about. We
is-
have this cross. Where most dispensaries have a little cross and a parking.
And that green color.
What is it going to be?
It'll be
for
different.
retail.
Yeah, something different.
What's going to be the ambiguous symbol?
Right.
For retail.
I think we'll see the return of tie-dye in a big way.
There'll be have to be some sort of signage that says
We are
adult use
selling
or
weed.
retail, or if you're over 21, come on in. But it'll be interesting how they do that. Or they're going to have little cheap, $99 ounce signs in their window.
Don't know.
How are they going to?
You could ask a few dispensary owners. I'm sure they're having
$99
right now.
ounce?
I'm
I
sure
don't
they are,
think
yeah.
so. You can't get a $99 ounce now.
Hey, you know what I was talking? You were talking about the quality
Yeah,
staying
there's
up.
coupons. You got to sign up. I mean, you can. Look in the
I've
Daily
heard
Doobie.
I've heard in the wind that outdoor grows will become more popular, right? I mean, to accommodate the demand, right? So outdoor grows might become more common than they are right now, and then it's more difficult to control the quality, or maybe the quality is not the same as indoor. Am I mistaken in that?
I think it depends on the frankly the grower.
grower.
It
Yeah, you
depends
can
on
grow
the-
really
the
good
skill
stuff.
of the
Really
grower.
good stuff outdoors, just as good as you can indoors.
Yeah, really good outdoor stuff.
right on.
It really
I didn't
does
know that.
depend on the ability of the grower.
Of the grower.
Yeah. That's you know what? That's why I don't grow my own, you guys, because it's a passion. Everyone I know who grows professionally, it's all they do. Right? It's pretty much all of their thoughts revolve around their plants. And I've gotten to a point in my life where I have enough things going on. I just can't take on another passion like that, right? So I'm happy to go to my dispensaries and get the weed from the pros. It's usually pretty darn tootin'.
Amen. I was going to say as a consequence of the supply going down and the price going up, anyone can grow 6 plants, right? Anyone. So, the timeliness of this, you need to start growing now. The prices will peak at about a regular grow cycle now. Does
You can't
make
do that
sense?
outdoors, though, right now.
Right, but if I'm growing 6 plants, I could probably do that myself in my house.
Chris is just disagreeing with everything I say.
I see it all the time. I walk around neighborhoods and I see outdoor grows.
But in the winter time, that's what I'm saying.
I got
It's
my
getting
plant out on
winter
my balcony
time.
right now. I still got at least a month left to go.
But wouldn't it make sense in a precautionary way if you don't want to feel the consequence of a 33% tax or a shortage of weed? Wouldn't it make sense to
grow your
what
own?
the hell, man? Just
And you
grow
can
your
get
own
clones
and
just
try
as
right now.
easy.
You can go buy clone and pick up the first issue 2 through 4 of the Daily Doobie, and it's a growing guide from from clone to harvest, you can do that anywhere. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Give it a
that's
shot right now. Now is a good
Why
time
not?
to do that.
Because things like that's something that Washington's I-502 they didn't allow for home grows.
Right.
So that's like, in Colorado, we're kind of unique that you don't even have to have a medical card to grow. You could
Exactly.
just-
And that's right now.
Right now. So
Boom.
you can
Right
start
now.
growing your plants right now, and maybe the winter is not coming so much for you, my friend.
yeah.
There
Or
you
like,
go.
again, by summer or whatever, you're going to have a semi-decent crop. Might take a couple of crops to
Cycles,
kind of dial
right.
it in for yourself, but it'd be a heck of a learning experience. And for people on a budget, and it's somebody that I tend to kind of smoke a lot. So to think about growing enough to be self-sustaining seems like a lot of growing, but not necessarily. Or just if I could have my 4-6 plants, that would be. That's a lot of bud. I mean, you
Right.
can turn some
It's
of that into
enough for a lot of
hash. Like
people, I can
that's
tell
a
you that.
lot. Like especially if you dial it in. Like there's no reason. Let's grow.
Good idea to grow.
You know what? You guys have convinced me. I'm going to go get some clones.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Do
I've
one.
never done it. I want to.
I've done it before, and you know what? It is awesome. Like 2 summers ago, I put 3 clones out in my backyard in my wife's tomato boxes, and you know what? They grew fantastically, and I got really nice, crystally delicious buds out of them. I kept the topper from one of them because it was really big. It was like a 7-incher, I guess, something like that. It was really big for me, I should say. Everything is relative. Oh my God, that just sounds horrible.
So you kept a memento from this grow.
I'm sorry, I spaced out there. I heard the last couple sentences. What were you talking about, Jay? What was that?
The topper to my wonderful marijuana plant. And I still have it, right? I've kept it. It's a couple years old now, but it's a trophy.
Yeah,
it's a trophy. It's like the first plant that I grew successfully, and it might not be the dankest weed, but I grew it. And like people are saying on chat, it's kind of like your baby.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, baby.
I've got 6 years before I turn my basement into my own personal lab.
You've given yourself 6 years to make it
My
happen?
child will. I'm just going to wait until my youngest leaves, and then
It's a really good plan.
And so I've got 6 years on the I'm going to grow weed plan.
Cool.
I think we're being told that it's time to wrap up our show. As much
awesome
fun as it is to hang out with you guys, they're going to kick us off the air. I want to thank Paul and Bruce
Paul.
for coming,
Hooray.
man. It was like totally awesome to have you guys here.
You're welcome.
Dude, no, thanks for being on, Paul. That's awesome.
Where can they see your stuff again, Paul?
If you want to catch me and my videos, you can see them 7 days a week on YouTube at youtube.com/TokinGLX. That's TOKINGLX.
And that's awesome. He's got daily shows. Like he's
Like
doing
no one else.
Yes.
And he's
Literally, I
he's
guess.
been doing it for a long
Yes.
time.
No.
And you can find the Daily Doobie in the majority of Colorado dispensaries. You can find us online at dailydoobie.com. You can find us at Facebook, facebook.com/Daily Doobie.
And the Facebook, if people like it.
If you like the page tonight,
Tonight being Friday night, we're gonna be live. We'll be up on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, you probably had a look.
well, I tell you what, if you like it through Sunday,
'Kay.
all right, we'll just give you a shirt and a lanyard. We're
yeah.
going. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, well, hold on
What I
there.
mean to say is, someone who likes it between
Okay.
now and Sunday will give
Cool.
a lanyard and a T-shirt too. That's a
Cool.
lot. That's a big mistake to make.
Yeah. So
Everybody-
one individual will be chosen.
From the people who like it between now and Sunday. Yeah, that's a big order to fill.
Don't forget, you can catch the Daily Doobie online anytime, dailydoobie.com. You can find me, of course, on YouTube, Citizen J420. And thanks for tuning in. And
Did
thanks
you
for
mention the
joining
hot
me.
box?
The hot box
Oh,
tonight.
thanks for reminding. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, tonight. I don't know. Tell us
at
about
the
it.
Hood Lab tonight, our friend Colorado Weed reviewer. It's so hard for me. They're sponsoring a world record breaking attempt, the largest hot box. Right? Oh, Chris is saying he doesn't think it's going on tonight. I saw Dane Euler earlier today, and he told me it was going on tonight. So if it's
I didn't think it was
not-
going on tonight either.
If it's not going on tonight,
I don't think it's going on.
well, you
So-
guys better check that out. I have this information from word of mouth from Dane. So
Word of mouth. No, that's cool. That's cool. No,
I'm so embarrassed now, man.
check it out. It would be cool.
I think there's going to be a world record breaking hotbox soon at Hood Lab. Check your local media outlets.
There you go. Thank you for saving me there, Bruce. I was about to say, well, let's just do it at my house. Just kidding.
Let's do it tonight.
All right, you guys. Thanks
No,
very
heck
much.
of a show. Yeah, this is cool. Again, the guy that can fly. Check out my videos too. This was awesome. This is a cool thing we do. Reefer Madness Radio. We'll be back next Friday. More things to talk about. More things going on. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Right on.
We'll see you soon.
Cheers, everybody.
Keep on token.